covers really anybody that has any type of product, right? If you've got a inventory business, you might be in retail, you might be a wholesale distributor, you might be a manufacturer, you might be a cross between any number or all of those kinds of businesses. And so what we're going to really focus on is some of the tools for inventory management that are built into the application. There's so much that we could show, and we would be happy to show more going off in any kind of particular direction. I think about sales order entry in particular. If you're in the distribution business, what is more important to your business than the way that you take orders and how you take orders? We could spend the entire time just in sales order entry. So, but if you'd like to dig into any of these topics more and get more information, as Scott said, we're happy to do that. If you've already been talking to us, reach back out to us, send us an email, or give us a call if you haven't yet and you want to start a conversation. You can shoot us an email at sales@xtuple.com. Scott and I are on that list, but also the two guys who were on kind of the front page of the webinar and the mailer that you got, Stacy Pandaloglu and Tom Atkins. Those guys are specifically focused on distribution and work with our distribution customers and prospective customers. So those guys are in it all the time. We'd be happy to engage and talk to you a little bit more about that. So, but let's dig into it. I'm going to show just a couple of slides here so that we can kind of frame exactly what it is that we're looking at when we get into the software, and then we'll show it. Again, time is, we only have but so much time here. These sessions are not meant to necessarily be training sessions. They are meant to give you an overview and maybe help you down the path of either self-evaluation or further evaluation, digging in with us or our partner. We've got a terrific partner network all over the country, all over the world, and they add a lot of value to this community as well. So the name of the company is xTuple, right? And the name of the product is called xTuple ERP. And xTuple and our products, we do lots of these kinds of sessions here, these webinars. We actually do them twice a month. So we do them on the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of each month. And it's kind of an ongoing series, and we're trying to mix up the content all the time. We actually don't have 2014 all set up, but we will be having a whole series of webinars in 2014, again on the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of each month. But I mentioned earlier that these aren't meant to be real in-depth training classes. I know some people do use them for those, and that's fine, that's terrific, but we do offer classes. You might find them helpful. We have a class called Implementing and Managing xTuple ERP, or Setting Up of xTuple ERP. Next one of those classes is in February, and then we have an advanced class that's more of a power user class. If you've already gotten to know the application, you kind of want to take it to the next level and get into more detailed report writing or even customizing of the application. That power user class is terrific. And if you're on the front end of doing an implementation, there's a terrific class called the PMMI class for project mastering project management or something like that. It's for helping to manage a project. It really goes in depth with our methodology for implementing xTuple ERP. That's a remote class that you can do really very easily. It's 2 multi-hour day classes. It's a terrific class. So if you're on the, as I said, kind of the front end of starting to implement the software, it's very, very helpful. The software that we'll be looking at today, there's different editions of the software, right? I mentioned it's xTuple ERP. There are different divisions, or editions is what we actually call them. From left to right, it's the PostBooks. That's our entry-level version of the application. That does have some inventory and inventory management capabilities built into it. But to get some more inventory management and planning type functionality, if you're a little bit more of a sophisticated type business, meaning maybe you've got more than one location and you're managing inventory across locations, you might need a little bit more. Our standard edition does bring in more capability and more functionality into that scenario. So the standard edition gives a little bit more. Manufacturing edition we're not going to talk about today, or even the enterprise edition we're not going to really dive into too much today. They bring in more capability both around manufacturing, but also around some of the other products that xTuple has to offer for project-related businesses. And if you're in an e-commerce space or adding an e-commerce component to your business, there's some pieces of that come with the Enterprise Edition. In fact, you might see in your email as a promotion about the Enterprise Edition tied into our e-commerce solutions that are out there and available. That's not an area that I'm going to spend some time on today. Again, happy to do that if you want to, but that's probably its own session here today. So we'll be staying kind of on the left-hand side of the screen, PostBooks functionality, Standard Edition functionality, so that you can see that. And if you wanted to kind of get an idea of the different versions of the application, this is a terrific page. It's xtuple.com/comparison, or if you navigate through the product menu, you can see the comparison link here. And it kind of highlights the different versions and what's in each different version of the software. So this would help you to kind of hone in on which version is the right one for you. We are going to talk today about some of the specific functionality that's in what we call XWD, which is an add-on suite that goes with any of the xTuple versions from PostBooks all the way up to the Enterprise Edition. In fact, it comes with the Enterprise Edition. There's this suite of functionality that adds some more capability that is really geared more towards distribution-oriented businesses. So you might be in the kind of business where you might have a product catalog in your inventory of 5,000 or 10,000 items, but you can sell many thousand more items. So you've got kind of an external catalog that you might draw on to occasionally sell product. And you might not want to put that in your main item master. Well, we've got this notion of an external vendor catalog, which you can have off to the side and you can draw on and you can pull in. We'll actually look at that to maintain a catalog, but it is inside of the ERP and ready for when you're going to use that item for the first time. You can pull it out of the catalog into your system, cut purchase orders for it, take sales orders for it very easily, very quickly. So that's the notion of a vendor catalog or an external vendor catalog. There's all kinds of advanced and enhanced pricing capabilities that we've extended into the application for the intricacies that you might get into with your customers and the special relationships that you might have with your customers, the special relationships that you might have with your customers via the vendor. So you might be this middleman that's supplying product for a customer, and the customer has negotiated special deals with the actual vendor themselves. Well, we can help with that as well. So lots of capabilities there to manage pricing schedules, to manage vendor pricing schedules so that you can work with your vendor. And you can work with your vendor on very specific and unique maybe jobs or special orders. So we can do special order pricing, special pricing agreements that you might get into either with the vendor for a specific customer or a group of customers. And then also, maybe if you're in the kind of a distribution organization, or really any type of organization where you might have special buying capabilities, or you might have a buying group that you do some of your purchasing through, we've got some tools to facilitate that in an expedited manner, so you don't have to have a person full-time running around managing those kinds of payments. So from a technology perspective today, I'm going to be showing you the software. I'm actually going to be showing you the software on a Mac. The software runs just great on Windows, where lots of our customers run the software today, but it runs great on Mac as well, in a mix of Mac and Windows. It also runs, or at least a good portion of the software today runs in a browser, so that you can run it, again, on any of those platforms, but also on a mobile platform, any modern mobile device that you've got out there where you want to take orders or maybe check on customer information, on your phone or on a tablet. As long as it's connected to the internet, you've got the ability to get to that information as well. And so whether you're viewing it through a Windows desktop, or whether you're viewing it, from a hotel lobby browser, or maybe through your own iPad on the road in the airport, it's all talking back to that same database. It's one database in the background. You just have choices for how you access it and how you get to your information in your database. And isn't this very much in line with what everybody talks about in the industry today, which is bring your own device? More and more people are bringing their own device, bringing their own phones, bringing in their tablets that they've got at home, and they want to use them if they've got them. So we do provide the ability to do that, whether you're hosting it yourself, and that's certainly fine if you want to self-host, but xTuple also offers a cloud service. So if you wanted to access the software from anywhere and didn't want to deal with or worry about managing a server and managing the database connections for your facility there, we can manage that for you. So any and all mixing and matching of those technologies is something that we've tried to provide all along to our customers so that your users can leverage the best technology that's most appropriate for them. I'll just kind of finish this up by encouraging you, if you haven't, to go check out the website. There's a lot of really good information out there on the xtuple.com and xtuple.org websites where you can download a copy of this software. You can get a free trial of it. All of our pricing is out there. There's detailed customer information, success stories out there, detailed product information. All of our documentation is out there as well. So lots of really good resources I'd encourage you to take advantage of when you can, if you're interested in diving in more and learning more about xTuple or just learning more about ERP in general. We do provide a lot of really, really helpful information for anybody that's starting down that path of saying, do I need a new solution here? All right, well, let's get into looking at the software now. And so what we're looking at here is the xTuple. Again, if you're not familiar with what you're looking at here, this is a Mac screen. On a Mac you got this dock on the bottom here, and what you put in your dock is the applications that you most frequently use. There's similar notions in Windows, I know, but I just have gotten very used to this. And so when you log into the application, so if you grab click on one of the icons here, you get a sign-in screen where you're going to be asked your username and password, and that controls the security. It controls the privileges. What do I, as a user, have access to? What have the people that set this system up given me or granted me access to? It's very granular with regard to who has access to what. So you can make somebody so that they can have the ability to take sales orders, but that's it. They can't see inventory, they can't see pricing, they can just take orders. Or maybe you do want to grant your salespeople a little bit more leeway and have the ability to understand what inventory is, have the ability to look at sales history when you're taking a sales order so you can get more detailed information. You really control who has access to what. And that's by individual user, so you can be that unique and that specific, or you can say, hey, all salespeople get this, or all accounting people get that. So and that's how you can set it up. And then anybody, when they start off in the application, they're going to come here. This is what we call the landing page or the welcome page. And this if you've logged into xTuple before and seen it and it looks a little different, this page is always changing. So we kind of keep this block metaphor on the welcome page, but what's in the blocks tends to change. It's not unlike a Windows 8 kind of metaphor, right, where you've got different content in there that you can get to, including this is meant to be helpful to get to the forums and documentation and go directly to xTuple or see the next webinar or training class that we've got going on, and the kinds of things that we've got queued up for the future. It's our messaging vehicle, so we're trying to provide our customers with an update of what's going on in the xTuple world. But this is always meant to be a resource, and you do your main navigating down the left-hand side here. As you click on these icons on the left-hand side that are grouped together by main functional areas inside the application, we call each of these desktops. So on each of the desktops, you're going to see the icons change a little bit, but the layout and the format is meant to be pretty uniform and pretty universal, and what's on these pages is what I call the favorites, or the things that are most often used, right? So if we go to purchasing, these are the things that most of the customers use. Or if you're brand new to the application, but you know purchasing, and you sit down and you look at this screen, you're going to say, okay, well, this looks familiar. I can see inventory availability, and I can get right to, a view of inventory and what's there. That makes sense. And I can highlight any one of these rows. I can right-click and I can drill in and get more information. Or if I wanted to further filter on this, I've got all kinds of filtering tools or filtering things that I can do. I can do by different groups of items or vendor, or what items do I have that right now today would be available to ship if I wanted to look at that. So lots of good information that's available from an inventory availability screen. And that screen is available from lots of places in the application. The idea here, though, is that if you're a purchasing person and you're just sitting down for the first time, some of this stuff ought to be familiar. This is the kind of tools that you'd want to see. I can do inventory availability. I can see and check on purchase requests, who's requested items, what purchase orders are out there, who's doing a purchase order. Maybe I want to create a new purchase order. Maybe I give a number of people the ability to create purchase orders, but only I, in the company as a president, have the ability to print and release them. So that's a capability that you can set in terms of privileges in the application. Who has the ability to do what with them? You can see it's also kind of laid out like a workflow, right? So I might check inventory availability, and from there I might do some purchase requests. Purchase requests can get approved and become purchase orders, or you can go right from inventory availability to purchase order and then print and then release. So it's meant to kind of be a workflow, but it's also meant so this isn't all that you're going to see in the application, right? This isn't all the capabilities that are included with purchasing. So at the top, there's kind of a more traditional menu navigation system. So if you wanted to graduate beyond just working with icons on the desktop, the favorites on the desktop, you could go up to purchasing and you can see the other options that are out there, even in purchase requests. I can see them, or I can filter them. I can go into purchase orders. I can release them if I've got the ability to. I can do vouchers or vendor invoices right from here, and forms, print different purchase order forms. Maybe I print different forms for different vendors, so you can set that up. Or maybe my vendor lost the PO, even though I mailed it to him and emailed it to him, and I need to send a new one, so I'm going to send an electronic copy of an existing purchase order out there. Maybe I have blanket purchase orders, and I need to set up a contract with an existing vendor, so I can set that up. So I've got lots of choices for that. So you get the idea that up here underneath the menu system, there's a lot more than you might just see in here. So we talked about inventory availability a little bit. What I kind of rushed over it. I find this to be a really great tool when you're trying to get a perspective on what tools are available to manage inventory. What do I have? If I'm a user of the system, I've been using something like QuickBooks, or I've been managing my inventory in spreadsheets, and I want more tools. I want more capabilities. So I do have the ability to, from this screen, look at all my items. So I could look at, let's look ahead here. So what this says is, hey, let's look out a certain number of days, because I'm going to get information about what's the quantity on hand, what's allocated in the next 15 days, what's unallocated, what's on order in the next 15 days, what purchase requests are out there. And then I can see like reorder levels, and I can see that kind of information that's available. And if I wanted to filter this down a little bit more, I can say, hey, I just want to see things for one of my locations, because you can see it's all mixed up. I can see my warehouse 1. I can see things that are in transit between warehouses. I can see a retail location that I've got. I can see things in warehouse 2. Maybe I want to filter by location here. So we'll go by just warehouse 1. So now I've got a smaller list of items that I can get to. And I can continue to add filters here, right? If I just click on that plus up here, I can say, you know what, I just want to see a smaller group of items. So, or maybe anything that might be from a particular vendor. So I can see things just that I purchased from this vendor. So that reduces that down. And I can continue to add those. And anytime I've got a filter here that's really useful to me, I can go ahead and save that. So I can see, save this filter as T-parts filter, and I can look at different views here. So this is just in Warehouse 1, or I can look at just this group of items here. So you can see you can save these filters, and that starts to be like a my individual reporting, right? If I'm always wondering what's available for inventory, I always want to come and check here. I'm curious, or I'm a purchasing person, or I'm an inventory manager, and I want to know these kinds of things. So I can come here, I can get a high-level view, and then if I want to find out more, if I see here some information about this particular item, I can highlight any row that I'm looking at. I can right-click, and I can drill into more information. I can view inventory history. I can view the various orders that might be associated with it, purchase orders and sales orders. I can see if there's any substitutes associated with this item. Maybe I'm an inventory manager. I'm looking at this, and I'm uncomfortable with these inventory levels. That doesn't seem to make sense at all. Well, I'm going to issue a count tag for this right now. I'm going to send somebody out. I'm going to print it out, and I'm going to send somebody out to count this, figure out what is going on with this. And just one kind of quick thing here. Anytime you're looking at this inventory type things or looking at a grid of information like this, I can highlight a row. I can right-click, and I can jump down to copy to clipboard. I can grab whatever I'm looking at, and it's very easy to dump whatever I'm looking at in a spreadsheet. So if there's something in here that we're not doing, or you're not seeing it the way that you want to see it, we've got printed reports, and you have the ability to tailor those printed reports. But sometimes people just want to dump things into a spreadsheet and play around with it, and do formulas on it. So you can certainly do that. That's available. As Scott mentioned, we've got a series of poll questions that we ask along the way, and that's for to make sure you're paying attention, but it's also to make sure that if you're interested in getting credit for this webinar, we need to document that you're actually participating here in order for us to be able to give you that CPE credit. So it's something that we had to do with the National Association of Certified Public Accountants. So I think Scott's got a question kind of queued up here for us. First poll question.
All right, here we go. Excuse me, sorry, wrong button. Inventory availability helps plan and create orders, true or false? Okay, about 10 more seconds. Okay. Everybody got that right. The answer was true. You can actually create orders right from the inventory availability screen, and as Wally showed, you can see how many you got out there.
That's a really good point. One of the things that I didn't actually show on this report, which is very helpful, is the ability to create reports or to create orders right here. So if I wanted to even just kind of focus in on, hey, what am I short on, so I could see shortages here, I can highlight, I can right-click, and right from here, well, that's a manufactured item. So let's, here's a purchased item. So right from here, I can right-click, and I can create a purchase order right from here. So I can view it, and I can create a purchase order, or maybe just even send a purchase request over to purchasing, so somebody knows that I need it. Maybe I don't have the ability to make purchase orders, but I can do purchase requests, so I can send a purchase request over. But if I'm an inventory manager and right from the screen I said, ooh, that is not good, I'm creating a purchase order right now. Right from here, you can create a purchase order. This particular product happens to be a commodity type item that I can buy from multiple vendors. So it brings up my list of vendors. Hey, who do you want to buy it from? And they're ranked. So I can do that. And I can do that right from here. So that's the kind of things that you've got in terms of available tools from an inventory management perspective. When you're setting things up from an inventory perspective, if I'm looking at a list of all the items that I have in inventory and I wanted to look maybe very specifically at, a group of items or a specific item, I can highlight, I can double-click, and now I'm in the list, or I'm in the item master for this item. So you see the kind of information. I'm sure if you're using any kind of inventory system, you've got an item master kind of notion, right, where you're tracking key information. It could be in a spreadsheet, and these could all be columns. This is a more kind of holistic view of it, where you can see kind of the item number, unlimited characters, alphanumeric. You've got 2 lines of description here for the item. We've indicated that it's a purchased item versus a kit. You know, if you might do some assembly and put things on shelf ahead of time, you can set something up to be a manufactured item, and you can do that ahead of time. There's lots of ways that you can group attributes together, or segregate items by class code, by product category. I might want all my electrical products, or my industrial products, or my plumbing products, or my metal products, or my plastics products. I might want to group all those together. Lots of ways that you can do that for items. And then you've got a whole series of tabs down the bottom which really drive the behavior of an item too. So, you know, I can track comments if I wanted to make a note about something for an item, and it will log who made the comment here. Characteristics are user-defined fields, so if I had some kind of attribute that I wanted to have for this particular item, I could create a characteristic here, and the characteristics can be open fields like this one, and you can put whatever you want, or they might have, it might be a list, and you can pull a list here. So, I can create that for an item. I can get a view of the cost, material cost for an item. I can have multiple units of measure, right? So if I buy something in eaches and sell it in cases, or broken cases in eaches and pallets, you can set up an unlimited number of user-defined unit of measure conversions. You can have that here. The application does have the ability to have multiple locations. So if I'm in a multi-branch or multiple facility type scenario, the application can not only track inventory at the separate locations, it can help you to manage the inventory across those locations. So maybe only one facility does the purchasing, and then all the rest is managed by kind of mins and maxes within those facilities. And so you can run a planning utility that will say, hey, you need to buy more, and then you need to move more to the different locations. And it will the system will suggest purchase orders for buying more product, and will suggest transfer orders for moving product from one location to another. The application has a list price, or the item master, has a list price for the item, but there's also a whole pricing matrix that's built into the application too that we call pricing schedules. So you can set up pricing, and pricing can be as specific as this product gets priced for this customer when I sell it out of this site for this much. So that can tie to sites as well. So I can do pricing, and pricing can be very specific to a customer. It can be set up for a group of customers. These are my large distribution customers. These are my large contractors. These are my mom and pop retail stores, and they get a different price than my large industrial customers. So you can set up groups of customers and have pricing schedules for groups of customers, and then when you assign a customer to that group, this is a mom and pop retail outlet. Well, they get the mom and pop retail pricing. So you just set them up as that, and they automatically get that kind of pricing. So pricing schedules, the pricing capabilities that are built into the application are very powerful. There's lots of ways that you can do pricing. I know when you're in a distribution environment, and this is also true in a manufacturing environment, you can have lots of different pricing models that are really driven by the customer. They can be everything from, a very specific price. This is the price for this customer for this quantity. They can be a discount. This kind of customer gets 10% off when they buy 10. They get this percent off when they buy 100, and they get a completely different percent off when they buy over 1,000. So you can set it up that way, but you can also do it the reverse way too, right? You could do cost plus. So maybe your costs vary pretty consistently, but all I know is that I want to do a plus on top of whatever my cost is. So I have the ability to take my cost and add a percentage factor on top of that. So all of those are prices, and pricing can get down to as I said, sites if you wanted to make it that specific. The item source is, who do I buy this product from? So if I open it up, I have the information of who's the vendor, what's the vendor's part number, their unit of measure, the barcode that it's going to, number that it's going to come in with. If I have order mins, maxes, multiples, pricing schedules for that manufacturer. Maybe you're the kind of entity that buys from a distributor, but there's multiple manufacturers that offer that product. So one distributor, one part number, multiple different manufacturers. We can facilitate that as well. So you can have a description and a manufacturer associated with an item. And if you're going to set up blanket pricing or contract pricing with your vendor, you have the ability to do that too, to pick up a contract associated with specific pricing. The application handles all kinds of international tax capabilities, domestic here in the U.S., different states, different counties, different municipalities, all the way up to international Canadian taxes, GST, PST type taxes and reporting, international VAT tax capability and reporting. All that is built into the application with the tax system. You need to set up your tax entities, and then the system can calculate taxes on both sale and purchase type items. You can set up substitutions for items. So if I'm out of something, I want to find out if there are valid substitutions, you can set those up. You can set up aliases. Maybe there's multiple product IDs that an item can fall underneath. Maybe that's tied to your customer, or it's tied to the vendor, or it's tied to an industry code or something like that. You can set up those aliases and order from them and take orders from them and print that kind of information on sales order acknowledgments and quotes and sales orders as well. And then one other last thing here, this particular item is a good example. It's got a couple of spec type things associated with them, right? So I can have an image of the item. I can have the spec sheet that's associated with that item. I can attach really any document here on that document tab. Very easy to do. So that's setting up an item. I often like to talk about the people that we do business with too, right? That's very important in a distribution business. I'm not going to spend too much time on that today because the focus really here is on inventory management. But it is important to note that we've got a whole integrated CRM system that's built into the application. So you don't need a third-party CRM application to bolt onto it. Ours is very much embedded and integrated with the whole application. It's not an extra exercise to implement CRM. CRM is the heart of all of the contacts in the xTuple ERP solution. And again, you can have important things tied to your customers, tied to your contacts, including pricing. So who the customer is, maybe that customer's in a specific group, all of that can be tied to who gets them as a sales rep, who's assigned to them, where they show up, how we report against them, and even how we price everything that we sell to them. All right, I'm going to take a sales order here and kind of go through some of the things that are in sales order entry, and then kind of finish up with printing a pick list. And I think that's as far as time will allow us today. But I think before we do that, I think Scott might have another poll question here.
Yep. Let's do one. Okay. Pricing schedules can be based on nominal price, discount price, or both. Okay, about 10 more seconds. Okay, and everybody got that right. As Wally alluded to, you can have pricing schedules and be based on a discount price, so a 20% markup or discount, or a nominal price, so somebody gets $10 off or $15 off, for example. So back to you, Wally.
Very good. Okay. So let's go to the sales desktop now. And if I'm a customer service people, there might be different ways that you work with customers, want to deal with customers. In some distribution type organizations, salespeople are just taking orders. When they're on the phone, they're getting calls from customers, they're entering orders, that's all they do. But in lots of environments, you've got people that are more customer service oriented than just sales oriented, right? Customers calling and saying, hey, I want information about my invoice, or how come you guys put me on credit hold, or something like that. Having the integration of the CRM into the application really helps there. So we're going to take a sales order, but I'm going to show you all of the capabilities that somebody has in the integrated xTuple solution here to get into and work with customers and sales. So I'm going to go to the sales desktop here, and if I'm a salesperson, I might be able to get some very quick information about what's going on. I can see outstanding quotes, outstanding orders. I can see sales history here if I wanted to drill into that. And if I had the permission to be able to do that, I could right-click. I can open that up. I can drill into it. I can see outstanding sales orders here. If I wanted to look at any of these, I could check on any of those. But I just want to do a new sales order here. So the customer is the first place that the cursor starts. So I open up a sales order, and the application is saying, well, what customer are we working with here? So I might be dealing with a brand new customer. That's okay. We could add a new customer on the fly. I might need to search for the customer, or I might know the customer's number. If I'm in one of those heads down kind of businesses and I know all my customers, they call in, I can just start entering the number. But anytime you see this magnifying glass here, this is a really good indicator that I know that I've got lots of ways to search here. So the cursor's right here, and I see the magnifying glass. If I click on that magnifying glass, I can see what my options are for searching. So I can bring up a list of all of my customers. I can search, and if I do search, I can look on any attribute of the customer, customer number, name, phone number, billing contact, city, state, zip code. So I can search for the customer that way. I can also just start typing. So if I know the customer and I know something about them, as soon as I start typing their number, I'm going to get some options here. So as I start typing, the application is going to fill in a little bit more. So I'm going to bring in this customer here. And all I've done is enter that customer number, right? I started typing it in, and I accepted the one. And as soon as I did, it pulled in all this default information. So as a salesperson, I don't have to worry about filling in, their ship to, or who it's going to, or any of that information, unless it needs to be overridden. I certainly can override it. I can go look for another ship to if the customer's got new ones, or if they're shipping to a construction site. I can ship there as well, or to a unique location for one time. I can do one-time shipping. But you don't have to put anything in, is my point. All this information just comes because you've got it all set up in the customer master, which, again, is tied to our CRM system. So maybe the customer has a question about their account here. Again, the integration that you have here. So once I've got this magnifying glass, I can open up their customer record, and I can get to all kinds of information. I can see their outstanding invoices. I can see what their credit limit is. I can see the sales that we've done with them over a year. I can see all kinds of default information about them as a customer. But I don't have to do anything. Again, if I'm in a kind of a more heads-down environment, once I've got the customer information, the next thing I want to do is enter a line. So I go to line items. I enter a new line item. I could pull up favorites. What are the customer's favorites? What have they bought before? But I'm just going to go to new here, just like on the customer. If I know the number, I can start typing it. If I need to search, see, I've got that same magnifying glass here. It's a really powerful search tool. So I can look. I can bring up, again, a list of all my items. I can search on any attribute of the name or description of the item. I can also use alias. Remember we talked about that before? Maybe there's an industry number for this item, or it's a big customer, and they're calling using their part number. Or maybe they're asking for something that I've never sold before, so I'm going to have to do something on the fly here. So I can enter a new item on the fly. So I can do that very easily. If I wanted to grab an item that I have in stock, I can grab any item here. So I'm going to grab this one and see if I've got any in inventory. So as soon as I pulled the item number down, or verified that item number, right, the description came in. Down here, the inventory availability came in, so I've got a better picture of that. So I know a little bit more about this particular item. So I can actually see that I don't have any in stock for this item. So I can do a couple of things. I can look at supply. So I can look at, who do I get this item from? So I can look at the vendor here. I can look at from this inventory here, if I know that I'm just going to have to buy this right now, I can go ahead and create a purchase order that's tied to this item. So I've got that information that's available for this item. Maybe the customer is asking me some questions about this item and that I just don't know. So I actually have the ability to pull up, if there's a spec sheet that's associated with this item, I can pull it up right here. So I can view the spec sheet for that item that's attached to that item, and I can be looking at it. A customer might ask me some very specific details, and I can drill into any of the questions that they have, hopefully, and answer them intelligently about that item. So I can do that at any time. If I wanted to, maybe I want to buy some, so I'm going to, or the customer wants to go ahead and buy some. So I'm going to say they're going to order 10 of these, and we'll have a scheduled date of, let's say, a week, or maybe today. So if I wanted to just say today, I can see how many I have in stock. So actually today, I've got 100 in stock. So what happened here was I didn't have a date in here, and so no inventory was showing up. As soon as I put the date in, inventory showed up because the application kind of understands understands that you want to know, do I have it to ship on the day that I'm requesting to ship it out, which is the scheduled date. So I can see here that I've got 100 on hand here, so I'm not going to have to create a purchase order for this item. It's all ready to go. But I can also see history of this item if I wanted to see sales history for this particular item. Have I ever sold it before? I guess I haven't ever sold this particular item before. And I haven't, I don't have any cost history because I haven't purchased this item before. I don't know why I wouldn't have any purchase history, but I just might not have any for this item. So I'm going to save this particular item. I'm going to grab another item that the customer is asking for. And as I bring it in, I've got a little bit more information here. So maybe the customer is asking for 15 of these. The pricing defaulted in. Remember we talked before about where the pricing comes from. It's the intersection of who's the customer, what's the product. But I can see down here I've got some information about cost history. I can see sales history for this item. I can see what I have on hand for this item. So I've got more, better, intelligent information that I can talk to the customer about. They're saying, well, $9.89, that's crazy. You never sold it to me for that before. Well, I can come in here into the sales history, and I can actually see, yeah, we did. 2 years ago, we sold it to you for the exact same price. So I've got that level of information, too. So I'm going to go ahead and save this item. I'm going to get out of here, get out of this item, and I'm going to say, let's go ahead and do a sales order acknowledgement to this customer. So built into the application is the ability to push out sales order acknowledgements, to push out all kinds of documents, sales order acknowledgements, invoices to the customer, purchase orders to the vendor. This is all queued up as an invoice or a sales order acknowledgement that's going out to the customer, and I can actually see a copy of it as well. So here's the sales order acknowledgement. This is an example of a form that's built into the application that you've got the ability to change because there's a report writer and a form builder that's built in. So if you wanted to put your logo in here, obviously you can. You can change the fonts. You can change how things look in a particular form. So I've got the ability to do any of that with a form. So that all goes out to the customer. I can then print a pick list for that item. If I wanted to, I don't know if I did that yet. If I wanted to just go ahead and print the pick list for this item, I can. So maybe I want to print pick list. So I can see on the pick list the items that are here. You can see that this is another example of a form. You can see you can barcode things that are on the form. So if you wanted to use barcoding while you're picking or while you're packing and putting things away, you have the ability to do that for ship kind of confirmation status. So I can do all of that. And then ship an item out. The application does have an integration with a third-party shipping tool that allows you to do shopping of rates. So if I wanted to look and compare rates between FedEx and UPS or UPS Ground and UPS Next Day, I've got the ability to shop those and select which service I want. It will pull in all that information, allow you to pack boxes and do all of that as well and ship it out. And then you've got the tracking number in actually in the order. So that's kind of as far as I wanted to take things today. I wanted to give you a very high level, a little bit of navigating around the application, a little bit of peek at, how do I look at inventory? How do I, see a list of things? How can I check on availability? How can I take a sales order? What can I do with it there? There's so much that we can do from here, from managing orders, deciding what to pick, deciding what to ship, billing the customer, sending out the invoices to the customer via email. If you're working with the customer with EDI, we've got tools for managing EDI as well. So lots of capabilities for managing a distribution environment or just an inventory management environment where, irrespective of what kind of business you're in, we've got great tools for helping to manage that. It is a fully integrated ERP solution, so everything does roll into the financials, right? So accounts payable, everything that you do in purchasing becomes a vendor invoice, becomes a accounts payable thing that you pay, and then goes into the general ledger. And same thing with sales, becomes sales order acknowledgement, becomes an order, becomes an invoice, and then goes into revenue in your general ledger. There's an integrated financial reporting tool, all part of the application that you get included with the application. So everything that I've shown here, you've got the ability to take for a test drive if you want to, or if you want to work with us or one of our partners, maybe to get a more personalized demonstration of the software, you can. But anyway that you want to evaluate the software, if you go to xTuple.com, which might be how you got to here and got to us today, you can sign up for a free trial. Up in the top right-hand corner, you can sign up for a free trial, or you can just contact xTuple. You can come here to contact us and say, hey, I'd like a personalized demo. Can you show that to us? So you can do that. You can also go to, as Scott mentioned, we've got this webinar is going to be recorded. All of our webinars are recorded, so you can come to the service. You can come to here and under support and services. You can look at the demo videos, and you can see the various videos that we've got out here. So lots of ways that you can find out more about the application, get your hands on it, work with us, get connected with a partner, see some videos, do self-evaluation to the extent that you want to. We provide lots of tools and lots of vehicles to be able to do that. So I think we might have one more final question, polling question, and then we've got just kind of a little bit of time left here for open Q&A if you've got some. And again, if you think of them later and you just want to send us questions to sales@xtuple.com, I'd be happy to get back to you. Is there one more question, Scott?
Yeah, so here's the next question, last question. How can I evaluate xTuple to run my business? Free trial of mobile web and desktop client, free download of PostBooks off SourceForge, or all of the above? And this kind of goes into what Wally was just speaking of with self-evaluation.
Right, so the free version of the software, the PostBooks edition, you can get to at any time as well. So if you wanted to go to sourceforge.com and you wanted to download the free version, the PostBooks version, you can set that up too. But clearly the easiest thing to do is sign up for a free trial and just be able to try whatever parts of the application you want. And then if you want to use the free version of the application, it's out there and available, and we've got people to help you get set up. Or if you want to kind of try it on your own, you've got the ability to do that too.
Okay, great. So I guess we can move on to questions. And right now, it's like
we answered all the potential questions that are out there. That's great. That's fine. And so if you think of a question later, or maybe you're already talking to somebody here at xTuple and you just want to send follow-up questions to any of us or to anybody specifically, you can do that. But if you want to get to all of us at the same time, you can send it to sales@xtuple.com, and we're happy to answer your questions and follow up at a later time.
Okay, great. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.